HarperCollins presents the Railway Series, Volume 3, by Reverend W. Awdry. Read by Bruce Alexander. The Little Old Engine. Dear friends, you remember in Four Little Engines that Sir Handel Brown, the owner, sent Skarloey away to be mended. These stories tell what happened when the little old engine came home. Skarloey is not real. You can only see him in these books, but there is a real engine just like Skarloey. He is very, very old and has been mended. His name is Taliesin, and he lives at Tywyn in Wales. You would all enjoy going to see him at work. The author. Trucks. Sir Handel and Peter Sam had hard work while Skarloey was away. The owner gave them buffers and even bought a diesel named Rusty, but Sir Handel grumbled continually. One day Gordon saw him shunting and laughed. "My controller makes me shunt," Sir Handel said sheepishly, "and take trucks to quarries too. I'm highly sprung, and I suffer dreadfully." "Our controllers don't understand our feelings," sympathized Gordon. "Now, if you were ill—" He winked. "You couldn't go, could you?" "Good idea," said Sir Handel. "I'll try it." "I don't feel well," he groaned next morning. There wasn't time to examine him then, so some of the trucks were coupled behind Peter Sam's coaches, and Rusty promised to follow with the rest. "He," sniggered Sir Handel, but no one noticed. They were all too busy. Peter Sam didn't mind the extra work. He'd left his coaches at the top station and trundled cheerfully through the woods. The trucks chattered behind him in an agitated way, but he paid no attention. It might have been better if he had. Slates come from quarries high up in the hills. They travel down in trucks on a steep railway called an incline. Empty trucks at the bottom are hitched to a rope, loaded ones at the top are hitched to one another, and by their weight, loaded trucks run down the incline, pulling up empty ones. There are strong brakes in the winding house at the top to prevent loaded trucks from running down too fast. The ropes are very strong too, but in spite of this, trucks sometimes play dangerous tricks. Peter Sam never bumped trucks unless they misbehaved. Sir Handel bumped them even if they were good, so they didn't like him, and played tricks whenever they could. Peter Sam pushed the empty trucks to a siding where his fireman hitched them to the rope. Then on another siding he pulled back some loaded trucks. With these in front of him, he stood waiting. More loaded trucks stood at the top of the incline, ready to come down. They couldn't see Peter Sam. They thought he was Sir Handel, and wanted to pay him out. They began to move. "Faster, faster," they grumbled. They reached halfway, gathering speed. "Scrag him! Scrag him!" they yelled. "No, no!" wailed the empty trucks. "It's Peter Sam! It's Peter Sam!" But it was no use. The loaded trucks were straining at the rope. They broke it with a crack. "Hurrah! Hurrah!" they roared, hurtling down the hill. Peter Sam heard them. He shut his eyes. His driver and fireman crouched in his cab. The crash jerked him violently backwards. "Ouch!" he shivered. "I didn't expect a cold bath." The water poured from a channel, smashed by the flying slates. He was soaked from funnel to cab. "Peep, peep," he spluttered, and was glad when he heard Rusty's answering "Doot." "Bust my buffers," exclaimed Rusty. "What a mess! Never mind, Peter Sam, we'll get you out." He soon pulled him away from the water and the trucks. Peter Sam felt battered. His funnel was cracked and his boiler dented, but he was glad his driver and fireman were unhurt. He thanked Rusty and limped slowly home. Rusty stayed to help clear the wreckage. "I'm sorry about your accident, Peter Sam," said Sir Handel. "I always stand well back. Trucks don't like me, you see." "Why didn't you warn me?" "I didn't think." "You never do," said a stern voice. "You can start now while you're doing Peter Sam's work as well as your own. That'll teach you to pretend you're ill." Sir Handel did start thinking. He thought about thin controllers, and he thought about Gordon. He wanted to give Gordon a piece of his mind. Home at last. Peter Sam wanted to start work, but the thin controller wouldn't let him. "Another day's rest will do you good," he said. "Besides, I've got a surprise for you." "For me, sir? How nice, sir. What is it, sir?" "Wait and see," smiled the thin controller. The surprise was Skarloey. "Oh," said Peter Sam, "I'm glad you've come home." They lit Skarloey's fire, and he sizzled happily. "I feel all excited," he said, "just like a young engine. I'm longing to pull my dear old coaches again. Are they running nicely?" "Yes, they're running well," Peter Sam answered. "But we have 5 other coaches now." Skarloey was interested. "Oh," he said, "tell me about them." "Cora is a Guards fan. She isn't as big as Beatrice, and she hasn't a ticket window, but I like her best. She was my Guards fan in the old days. Ada, Jane and Mabel are plain. They have no roofs. Sir Handel says they are trucks, but they have seats," said Peter Sam, "so I say they're coaches. What do you think, Skarloey?" The old engine smiled. "If they have seats, they're coaches," he said firmly. "Sir Handel likes Gertrude and Millicent best," Peter Sam went on. "He always tries to take them alone. They have bogies, and he says they're the only real coaches we have. They remind him of when he used to pull our express. Both have seats for passengers, but Millicent has a guard as well. He sells tickets and travels in a tiny cupboard place." "I don't like that," he remarked earnestly. "Guards are very important. They need fans. They shouldn't be put into cupboards." Skarloey said nothing, so Peter Sam continued. "Did Rusty help you off your truck?" "Yes, he says he's come to mend the line and do odd jobs. I like him," smiled Skarloey. "So do I." Peter Sam explained how kind Rusty was when he had his accident. "It's a pity Duncan doesn't like him." "Who's Duncan?" "He came as a spare engine after my accident." "Is he useful?" "He'll pull anything, and I'm sure he means well, but he's bouncy and rude. He used to work in a factory, and his language is often strong." "I understand," said Skarloey gravely. Just then the telephone rang, and Skarloey's driver and fireman climbed into his cab. "Come on, old boy," they said. "Duncan is stuck in the tunnel, and we'll have to get him out." Skarloey was pleased. He wanted to run and looked forward to meeting Duncan. They found Cora and some workmen and hurried up the line. "How nice and smooth the rails are," thought Skarloey. "They've mended all the old bumps. Rusty has helped to do that. I must tell him how nice it is." Duncan had stuck at the far end of the tunnel. His coaches were outside, and the passengers were helping the driver and fireman to dislodge some rocks wedged between the top of his cab and the tunnel roof. Duncan was cross. "I'm a plain, blunt engine," he kept saying. "I speak as I find. Tunnels should be tunnels and not rabbit holes. This railway is no good at all." "Don't be silly," snapped his driver. "This tunnel is quite big enough for engines who don't want to rock and roll." They cleared away the rocks, and Skarloey pulled Duncan and his coaches safely through. Cora was left on a siding, and the workmen stayed to make sure all was safe. Duncan grumbled all the way home, but Skarloey paid no attention. The thin controller was waiting for them. "Listen to me, Duncan," he said. "There is nothing wrong with that tunnel. You stuck because you tried to do rock and roll. If it happens again, I'll cut down your cab and your funnel too." Duncan, abashed, was neither plain nor blunt for a whole evening. Rock and roll. When Skarloey's turn came, he was glad to take out the coaches and meet old friends. He met Rusty up the line. "You know," he said, "if I couldn't see the old places, I'd think I was on a different railway." Rusty laughed. "We hoped you would. Mr. Hugh, our foreman, said, 'Rusty, Skarloey's coming home. Let's mend the track so well that he won't know where he is.' And we did. And you didn't, if you take my meaning." Skarloey chuckled away. He liked this hard-working, friendly little engine. "There's still one bad bit," said Rusty anxiously that evening. "It's just before the first station. We hadn't time." "Never mind," said Skarloey. "It's much better now than it was." "Maybe better, but it's not good," replied Rusty. "An engine might come off there. Peter, Sam and Sir Randall take care, and so do you. But I'm worried about Duncan. He will do rock and roll. I shouldn't like his passengers hurt." "What's that about me? I'm a plain engine and believe in plain speaking. Speak up and stop whispering in corners." Rusty told Duncan about the bad bit of line and warned him to be careful. He grunted. "I know my way about, thank you. I don't need smelly diesels to tell me what to do." Rusty looked hurt. "Never mind," said Skarloey. "You've done your best." He said no more, but he thought a great deal. Next morning, Rusty left Duncan to find his own coaches. Duncan snorted and banged about the yard, then clattered crossly to the station. James was there already. "You're late," he snapped. "I know," said Duncan. "It's that smelly diesel's fault. He thinks he can teach me how to stay on the rails and then goes off and leaves me to find my own coaches." "Oh, you poor engine," sympathised James. "I know all about diesels. One crept into our yard and ordered us about. I soon sent him packing." Duncan gazed at him admiringly. He didn't know that James was boastful and sometimes didn't tell the truth. "Send them packing, snorted Duncan. He climbed the first hill furiously. "Well done, boy. Keep it up," encouraged his driver. They were soon near the first station. Duncan was pleased. Nothing's happened, he chortled. "Silly old diesel, clever me," and he swaggered along, doing his rock and roll. "Steady, boy," his driver tried to check him, but too late. There was a tearing, cracking, crunching sound, and Duncan stopped bumpily. "Sleep, boys, and ballast," he exclaimed. "I'm off." And he was. "I warned him," said Rusty crossly. "Duncan," I said, "you'd be careful on that bit of line, but all he did was to call me names." Mr. Hugh kept turning Rusty's handle. "Come on," he urged, "start up." "No, Mr. Hugh, sir, I'm sorry to disoblige, but I won't help that Duncan." "I'm ashamed of you, Rusty," said Skarloey severely. "Think of the passengers. What are they going to do?" "Oh," said Rusty, "I'd forgotten them. I'm sorry, Mr. Hugh, sir. We must help the passengers." And his engine roared into life. "Oh dear," thought Duncan, "now everyone will know how silly I am." Presently Mr. Hugh and Rusty brought sleepers and old rails. Mr. Hugh showed the passengers how to use them, and they soon levered Duncan back to the line. Duncan was extra careful all day. "Rusty," he whispered that night, "thank you for helping. I'm sorry I was rude." "That's all right." "I wish all diesels were like you. Let's be friends." "Suits me," smiled Rusty. "We'll mend that bad bit first thing tomorrow." Little Old Twins. One day the owner brought some people to see the railway. He showed them everything. They travelled in the trains and looked at stations and bridges and coaches. "Yes," they would say thoughtfully, "we'll take this," or "No, we won't take that." They made notes in their books. Peter Sam whispered to Sir Handel, "Men came and did that on our old line." "And then," said Sir Handel, "soon afterwards it was—" "Sold," finished Peter Sam mournfully. Peter Sam didn't sing any more. He wanted to cry. The other engines were sad too. "What's the matter with you all?" his driver asked him one day. "You look like dying ducks." "We don't want to be sold," said Peter Sam miserably. "Sold?" The driver was surprised. "Who to?" "To those people who came and talked about taking things." "You silly little engine," laughed his driver. "They're not going to buy us. They're going to take our pictures on television." And he tried to explain what that meant. "Not going to be sold, not going to be sold," sang Peter Sam. He could hardly wait to tell the others. He told them about the television as well, and they were pleased and excited too. All except Sir Handel. "I don't hold with it," he grumbled. "Vulgar, I call it. Fancy traipsing about making an exhibition of yourselves. I won't do it, I tell you. Telly something indeed. Just let the thin controller come here. I'll tell him something." Skarloey said nothing. He just winked at Peter Sam. Like this. But next day, when the thin controller did come to explain about the television, Sir Handel kept strangely quiet. "Now," said the thin controller at last, "I want every engine to take part." I don't feel well," quavered Sir Handel. "You poor engine," said the thin controller gravely. "You can stay in the shed." Sir Handel smiled broadly. "And your driver and fireman shall take you to pieces. That will make a very interesting picture. Just what we need." Sir Handel's feelings were beyond words. "That's that," said the thin controller. "Now, Skarloey, will you take Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, and Beatrice?" "Oh, yes, please, sir. I was hoping you would let me have them." "Duncan, you shall have a good strain, while Rusty, with Mr. Hugh and the men, can show how we mend the line." "Please, sir, what about me, sir?" asked Peter Sam anxiously. The thin controller smiled. "You, Peter Sam, shall pull the special television train." "Oh, sir! Oh, sir!" bubbled Peter Sam in ecstasy. The television men built towers for cameras beside the line. They put cameras on Ada, too, and filled Gertrude with wires and instruments. Some trucks, coupled behind, carried aerials and generators. Everyone practiced hard till they knew just what they had to do. At last the time came, and the announcer gave the signal. "We're on the air, we're on the air," puffed Peter Sam, and he rolled the heavy train to the shops where Sir Handel was being mended. Sir Handel did not enjoy their visit. "We're on the air, we're on the air," chanted Peter Sam. He trundled over the bridge near the middle station. "Beep, beep," he whistled to Duncan. "We're coming." The announcer talked to Duncan, and then they puffed over the second bridge to Quarry Siding, where Rusty, Mr. Hugh, and the men were waiting to explain about their work. Soon they had to go. Peter Sam whistled, Rusty tooted in reply, and they clattered through the tunnel, rumbled over the viaduct near the waterfall, and rolled at last into the top station. The owner climbed down. "We arranged for television," he said, "to let everyone see our little old engine. We are proud of him. 95 years old and good as new. There's nothing like him anywhere. 3 cheers for Skarloey." "Beep, beep, beep," whistled Peter Sam, and everybody joined in. Skarloey smiled. "I'm very glad to be home again. Thank you, sir, and all, for your nice surprise. Now I'll surprise you. Listen. When I was mended in England, I found my twin." The owner stared. "Is there really another engine like you?" "Yes, sir," chuckled Skarloey. "There is. Another engine came to be mended too, called Tallychlyn. When the workmen saw us together, they laughed and called us their little old twins. Tallychlyn told me about his railway. It is a lovely one, at Tawen, in Wales. Well, sir, they mended us both and sent us home, but I often think of Tallychlyn. He's 95 years old too, just like me." Please go to see him, all of you, and wish him dry rails and good running from Scalloy, his little old twin. The Twin Engines. Dear friends, the Fat Controller has just been having a disturbing time. He ordered one goods engine from Scotland and was surprised to receive two. They had both lost their numbers, and no one knew which was which, so he didn't know which engine to keep. The author. Hello, twins. More and more people travelled on the Fat Controller's railway. More and more ships came to the harbours. Everyone had to work very hard indeed. The trucks complained bitterly, but then trucks always do, and no one takes much notice. The coaches complained too. No sooner had they arrived with one train than they had to go out again with fresh passengers as another. "We don't know whether we're coming or going," they protested. "We feel quite distracted." "No one can say," grumbled Henry, "that we're afraid of work, but we draw the line at goods trains," finished Gordon. "Dirty trucks, dirty sidings, ugh," put in James. "What are you boiler-aching about?" asked Duck. "I remember on the Great Western, that Tin Pot Railway—" "Tin Pot indeed, let me tell you—" "Silence!" ordered a well-known voice. "Let me tell you that an engine for goods work will arrive from Scotland tomorrow." The news was received with acclamation. The Fat Controller stared. "Did you say 2 engines, Inspector?" "Yes, sir." "Then send the other back at once." "Certainly, sir. But which?" The Fat Controller stared again. "Engines have numbers, Inspector," he explained patiently. "We bought number 57646. Send the other one back." "Quite so, sir. But there is a difficulty." "What do you mean?" "The 2 engines are exactly alike, sir, and have no numbers. They say they lost them on the way." The Fat Controller seized his hat. "We'll soon settle that nonsense," he said grimly. The 2 engines greeted him cheerfully. "I hear you've lost your numbers," he said. "How did that happen?" "They maun ha' slyly slipped it off, sir. Ye ken who it is." The engines spoke in chorus. "I know. Accidentally, on purpose." The twins looked pained. "Sir, you wouldna be thinking we lost them on purpose." "I'm not so sure," said the Fat Controller. "Now, then, which of you is 57646? "That, sir, is just what we canna mind." The Fat Controller looked at their solemn faces. He turned away. He seemed to have difficulty with his own. He swung round again. "What are your names?" "Donald and Dougie, sir." "Good," he said. "Then your controller can tell me which of you is which." "Och, you'll no get muckle help for him, sir." "Why?" "He doesna ken our names, sir. Who could he? We only gin ourselves names when we lost our numbers." "One of you," said the Fat Controller, "is playing truant. I shall find him out and send him home. Inspector," he ordered, "give these engines numbers and set them to work." He walked sternly away. The Missing Coach. Soon workmen came to give the twins their numbers. Donald was 9 and Douglas 10. When the men went away, they were left alone in the shed. "You may ha' noticed, Dougie, that young painters forgot something." "What did they forget?" "They painted braw new numbers on our tenders, but they put nane on us." Donald winked broadly at his twin. "Ya mean," grinned Douglas, "that we can—" "Just that," chuckled Donald. "Who'd you wished? Here's the Inspector." "Now, 9 and 10, smiled the Inspector. "Here's Duck. He'll show you round before you start work." The twins enjoyed themselves and were soon friends with Duck. They didn't mind what they did. they tackled goods trains and coaches easily, for, once the twins had shunted them, trucks knew better than to try any tricks. "We like it fine here," said Donald. "That's good," smiled Duck, "but take my tip. Watch out for Gordon, Henry and James. They're sure to try some nonsense." "Dunno fash yourself," chuckled Douglas. "We'll soon settle them." Donald and Douglas had deep-toned whistles. "They sound like buses," said Gordon. "Or ships," sniggered Henry. "Tugboat any," laughed Gordon. Donald and Douglas cruised quietly up, one on each side. "You wouldn't be making fun of us, would you now?" asked Donald. Gordon and Henry jumped. They glanced nervously from side to side. No," said Gordon. No, certainly not," said Henry. "That's fine," said Douglas. "No, just mind the both of you, and keep it that way." That was the way Gordon and Henry kept it. Every day, punctually at 3:30, Gordon steams in with the express. It's called the Wild Nor'Wester and is full of people from England, Wales and Scotland. There's also a special coach for passengers travelling to places on Thomas's branch line. When the other coaches are taken away empty, engines have to remember to shunt the special coach to the bay platform. It does not wait there long. Thomas, with Annie and Clarabel, comes hurrying from the junction to fetch it. Thomas is very proud of his special coach. One afternoon, Douglas helped Duck in the yard while Donald waited to take a goods train to the other end of the line. As Duck was busy arranging Donald's trucks, Douglas offered to take away Gordon's coaches. Douglas was enjoying himself when an awful thought struck him. "I hope the Fat Controller doesna find out I shouldna be here. I couldna abide going back." He worried so much over this that he forgot about Thomas's special coach. He pushed it with the others into the carriage siding, then ambled along to join Donald at the water column. As he went, Thomas scampered by, whistling cheerfully. Soon Thomas came fussing. "Where's my coach?" "Coach?" asked Donald. "What coach?" "My special coach that Gordon brings for me. It's gone. I must find it." He bustled away. "Oh, sakes," said Douglas. "I maun ha' stowed the special coach wi' the others." "Do you see that?" exclaimed Donald's driver. A mob of angry passengers erupted from the siding. "They're complaining to the Fat Controller. He'll be coming here next." "No, listen," said Douglas's driver. "We'll change tenders. Then awa wi ye, Donald, and take yon goods, and dinna fash about us. Quick now, do as I say." The Fat Controller and the three passengers walked towards them, but Donald, with Douglas's tender, number 10, was out and away with the goods before they came near. Douglas and his driver waited with innocent expressions. "Ah," said the Fat Controller, "number 9, and why have you not taken the goods?" "My tender is awa, sir." The driver showed him the tender, still uncoupled. "I see. Some defect, no doubt. Tell me, why did number 10 leave so quickly?" "Maybe, sir," put in Douglas. "He saw you coming and thought he was late." Said the Fat Controller. He turned to the passengers. "Here, gentlemen, are the facts. Number 10 has been shunting the yard. Your coach disappeared. We investigate. Number 10 disappears too. You can draw your conclusions. Please accept my apologies. The matter will be investigated. Good afternoon, gentlemen." The Fat Controller watched them till they climbed the station ramp. His shoulders twitched. He wiped his eyes. Douglas wondered if he was crying. He was not. He swung round suddenly. "Douglas," he rapped, "why are you masquerading with Donald's tender?" Brake van. The Fat Controller scolded both engines severely. "There must be no more tricks," he said. "I shall be watching you both. I have to decide which of you is to stay." He strode away. The twins looked glum. Neither wanted to stay without the other. They said so. "Then what is to do?" wondered Douglas. "Och," said Donald, "each man be guid as ither, sin he'll hae to keep us baith." Their plan was good, but they had reckoned without a spiteful brake van. The van had taken a dislike to Douglas. Things always went wrong when he had to take it out. Then his trains were late, and he was blamed. Douglas began to worry. "You're a muckle nuisance," said Donald one day. "It's to leave you behind I'd be wanting." "You can't," said the van. "I'm essential." "Och, are you?" Donald burst out. "You're nothing but a screeching and a noise when all's said and done. Spite Dougie, would you? Take that!" "Oh, ow, ow!" cried the van. "Hold your wisht," said Donald severely. "There's mair coming sin yer misbehave." The van behaved better after that. Douglas's trains were punctual, and the twins felt happier. Then Donald had an accident. He backed into a siding. The rails were slippery. He couldn't stop in time and crashed through the buffers into a signal box. One moment the signalman was standing on the stairs, the next he was sitting on the coal in Donald's tender. He was most annoyed. "You clumsy great engine," he stormed. "Now you must stay there. You've jammed my points. It serves you right for spoiling my nice new signal box." The Fat Controller was cross too. "I am disappointed, Donald," he said. "I did not expect such clumsiness from you. I had decided to send Douglas back and keep you." "I'm sorry, sir." But Donald didn't say what he was sorry for. We know, don't we? "I should think so too," went on the Fat Controller indignantly. "You have upset my arrangements. It is most inconvenient. Now James will have to help with the goods work while you have your tender mended. James won't like that." The Fat Controller was right. James grumbled dreadfully. "Only one would think," said Douglas, "that Donald had his accident on purpose. I heard tell," he went on, "about an engine and some tar wagons." Gordon and Henry chuckled. "Shut up," said James. "It's not funny." Well, said Douglas innocently. "Surely, James, it wasna you. You dinna say." James didn't say. He was sulky next morning and wouldn't steam properly. When at last he did start, he bumped the trucks hard. "He's cross," sniggered the spiteful brake van. "We'll try to make him crosser still." "Hold back," whispered the van to the trucks. "Hold back," giggled the trucks to each other. James did his best, but he was exhausted when they reached Edward Station. Luckily, Douglas was there. "Help me up the hill, please," panted James. "These trucks are playing tricks." "We'll show them," said Douglas grimly. Come on, puffed James crossly. Get moving, you, puffed Douglas from behind. Slowly but surely the snorting engines forced the unwilling trucks up the hill. But James was losing steam. I can't do it, he panted. Wait to me, shouted Douglas. He pushed and he puffed so furiously that sparks leapt from his funnelled. "Oh!" groaned the van. "I wish I'd never thought of this." It was squeezed between Douglas and the trucks. Go on, it screamed, but they took no notice. The guard was anxious. Go steady, he yelled to Douglas. The van's breaking. It was too late. The guard jumped as the van collapsed. He landed safely on the side of the line. I might have known it would be Douglas. I'm sorry, sir. Maybe I was clumsy, but I would not be beaten by yon tricksy van. I see, said the Fat Controller. Edward brought workmen to clear the mess. Douglas was grand, sir, he said. James had no steam left, but Douglas worked hard enough for 3. I heard him from my yard. 2 would have been enough, said the Fat Controller dryly. I want to be fair, Douglas, he went on. I admire your determination, but I don't know. I really don't know. He turned and walked thoughtfully away. The deputation. He'll send us away for sure, Donald. I'm thinking you're right there, Dougie. The luck's aye been agin us, an engine doesna ken what to do for the best. Snow came early that year. It was heavier than usual. It stayed, too, and choked the lines. Most engines hate snow. Donald and Douglas were used to it. They knew what to do. Their drivers spoke to the inspector, and they were soon coupled back to back with a van between their tenders. Then each, with a snowplough on their fronts, they set to work. They puffed busily backwards and forwards, patrolling the line. Generally the snow slipped away easily, but sometimes they found deeper drifts. Then they would charge them again and again, snorting, slipping, puffing, panting, till they had forced their way through. Presently they came to a drift which was larger than most. They charged it, and were backing for another try, when there was a feeble whistle. People waved and shouting, "Lost 6, Donald, it's Henry! Dunna fuss yourself, Henry! Bide a wee, we'll hae you out!" The Fat Controller was returning soon. The twins were glum. "He'll send us back for sure," they said. "It's a shame," sympathised Percy. "A lot of nonsense about a signal box," grumbled Gordon. "Too many of those, if you ask me." "That brake van, too," put in James. "Good riddance, that's what I say." "They were splendid in the snow," added Henry. "It isn't fair." They all agreed that something must be done, but none knew what. One day Percy talked to Edward about it. "What you need," said Edward, "is a deputation." He explained what that was. Percy ran back quickly. "Edward says we need a depot station," he told the others. "Of course," said Gordon. "The question is—" "What is a desperation?" asked Henry. "It's when engines tell the Fat Controller something's wrong and ask him to put it right." "Did you say tell the Fat Controller?" asked Duck thoughtfully. There was a long silence. "I propose," said Gordon at last, "that Percy be our, disputation." "Hey!" squeaked Percy. "I can't." "Rubbish, Percy," said Henry. "It's easy." "That's settled then," said Gordon. Poor Percy wished it wasn't. "Hello, Percy. Nice to be back." Percy jumped. Some trucks went flying. Yes, sir. Please, sir." "You look nervous, Percy. What's the matter?" "Please, sir, they've made me a desperation, sir. To speak to you, sir. I don't like it, sir." The Fat Controller pondered. "Do you mean deputation, Percy?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Please, sir. It's Donald and Douglas, sir. They say, sir, that if you send them away, sir, they'll be turned into scrap, sir. That'd be dreadful, sir. Please, sir, don't send them away, sir. They're nice engines, sir." "Thank you, Percy. That will do." He walked away. "I had a deputation yesterday," said the Fat Controller. "I understand your feelings, but I do not approve of interference." He paused impressively. "Donald and Douglas, I hear that your work in the snow was good. What colour paint would you like?" The twins were surprised. "Blue, sir, please." "Very well. But your names will be painted on you. We'll have no more mistakes." "Thank you, sir. Does this mean that they're both of us—" The Fat Controller smiled. "It means but the rest of his speech was drowned in a delighted chorus of cheers and whistles. Branch line engines. Dear friends, we never have a dull moment on our branch line. Thomas was silly and got into trouble, so a diesel rail car called Daisy came. She caused trouble too, but has now promised to be good, so the Fat Controller has kindly given her another chance. Meanwhile, Toby chased a bull. Percy got into a predicament, and... But you must read the stories for yourselves. The author. Thomas comes to breakfast. Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years. You know just where to stop, Thomas, laughed his driver. You could almost manage without me. Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realize his driver was joking. Driver says I don't need him now, he told the others. Don't be so daft, snorted Percy. I'd never go without my driver, said Toby earnestly. I'd be frightened. Pooh, boasted Thomas. I'm not scared. You'd never dare. I would then. You'll see. It was dark next morning when the firelighter came. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. He woke again in daylight. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Thomas suddenly remembered. Silly stick-in-the-muds, he chuckled. I'll show them. Driver hasn't come yet, so here goes. He cautiously tried first one piston, then the other. They're moving. They're moving, he whispered. I'll just go out, then I'll stop and wheesht. That'll make them jump. Very, very quietly he headed for the door. Thomas thought he was being clever, but really he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He soon found his mistake. He tried to wheesh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. The buffers will stop me, he thought hopefully, but that siding had no buffers. It just ended at the road. Thomas's wheels left the rails and crunched the tarmac. Horrors! He exclaimed and shut his eyes. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. The station master's family were having breakfast. They were eating ham and eggs. There was a crash. The house rocked. Broken glass tinkled. Plaster peppered their plates. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered anxiously into the room through its leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master grimly strode out and shut off steam. His wife picked up her plate. You miserable engine! She scolded. Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more. She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. The plaster was tickly. He wanted to sneeze, but he didn't dare in case the house fell on him. Nobody came for a long time. Everyone was much too busy. At last workmen propped up the house with strong poles. They laid rails through the garden, and Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to haul Thomas back to the yard. His funnel was bent. Bits of fencing, the bush, and a broken window frame festooned his front, which was badly twisted. He looked comic. The twins laughed and left him. He was in disgrace. You are a very naughty engine. I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Thomas's voice was muffled behind his bush. You must go to the works and have your front end mended. It'll be a long job. Yes, sir, faltered Thomas. Meanwhile, said the Fat Controller, a diesel rail car will do your work. Diesel, sir? Thomas spluttered. "Yes, Thomas, diesels always stay in their sheds till they are wanted. Diesels never gallivant off to breakfast in station masters' houses." The Fat Controller turned on his heel and sternly walked away. Daisy. The Fat Controller stood on the platform. Percy and Toby watched him anxiously. "Here," he said, "is Daisy, the diesel rail car, who has come to help while Thomas is indisposed." "Please, sir," asked Percy, "will she go, sir, when Thomas comes back, sir?" "That depends," said the Fat Controller. "Meanwhile, however long she stays, I hope you will both make her welcome and comfortable." "Yes, sir, we'll try, sir," said the engines. "Good. Run along now. Show her the shed. She will want to rest after her journey." Daisy was hard to please. She shuddered at the engine shed. "This is dreadfully smelly," she announced. "I'm highly sprung, and anything smelly is bad for my swerves." They tried the carriage shed. "This is better," said Daisy, "but whatever is that rubbish?" The rubbish turned out to be Annie, Clarabel, and Henrietta, who were most offended. "We won't stay to be insulted," they fumed. Percy and Toby had to take them away and spend half the night soothing their hurt feelings. The engines woke next morning feeling exhausted. Daisy, on the other hand, felt bright and cheerful. "Ooh, ooh, ooh," she tooted as she came out of the yard and back to the station. "Look at me," she purred to the waiting passengers. "I'm the latest diesel, highly sprung and right up to date. You won't want Thomas's bumpy old Annie and Clarabel now." The passengers were interested. They climbed in and sat back comfortably, waiting for Daisy to start. Every morning a van is coupled to Thomas's first train. The farmers send their milk to the station, and Thomas takes it down to the dairy. Thomas never minds the extra load, but Daisy did. As soon as she saw that the van was to be coupled to her, she stopped purring. "Do you expect me to pull that?" she asked indignantly. "Surely," said her driver, "you can pull one van." "I won't," said Daisy. "Percy can do it. He loves messing about with trucks." She began to shudder violently. "Nonsense," said her driver. "Come on now, back down." Daisy lurched backwards. She was so cross that she blew a fuse. "Told you," she said, and stopped. The shunter, the guard, the station master, and her driver all argued with her, but it was no use. "It's fitter's orders," she said. "What is?" "My fitter's a very nice man. He is interested in my case. He comes every week and examines me carefully. Daisy, he says, never, never pull. You're highly sprung, and pulling is bad for your swerves." "So that's how it is," finished Daisy. "Stuff and nonsense," said the station master. "I can't understand it," said the shunter. "Whatever made the Fat Controller send us such a feeble—" "Feeble!" spluttered Daisy. "Let me—" "Stop arguing," grumbled the passengers. "We're late already." So they uncoupled the van, and Daisy purred away, feeling very pleased with herself. "That's a good story," she chuckled. "I'll do just what work I choose, and no more." But she said it to herself. Bullseyes. Toby the tram engine has cow catchers and side plates. They help to prevent animals getting hurt if they stray onto the line. Daisy thought they were silly. She said Toby was afraid of getting hurt himself. "I'm not," said Toby indignantly. "You are. I've not got stupid cow catchers, but I'm not frightened. I'd just toot and they'd all get out of the way." "But they don't," said Toby simply. "They would with me. Animals always run if you toot and look them in the eye." "Even bulls?" "Even bulls," said Daisy confidently. Daisy had never met a bull, but she purred away, quite unconcerned. At the level crossing, cars waited behind gates to let her pass. She tooted at a farm crossing, and a horse and cart halted while she went by. "Pooh!" she said. "It's easy. I just toot, and they all stand aside. Poor little Toby. I am sorry he's frightened." At the next station a policeman was waiting. "There's a bull on the line," he warned them. "Please drive it along towards the farmer." Daisy was excited. "Now," she thought, "I'll show Toby how to manage bulls." Champion wasn't really a fierce bull, but this morning he was cross. They had driven him away before he'd finished breakfast and tried to put him in a cattle float. They'd pulled him and pushed him, prodded and slapped him, but he wouldn't go. He broke away and trotted down the road. He saw a fence, jumped it, and slithered down a slope. Champion was surprised. This was a new kind of field. It had a brown track at the bottom, but there was plenty of grass on each side, and he was still hungry. "Ooh!" tooted Daisy. "Go on." Champion had his back to her. He was too busy to pay any attention. "Ooh!" said Daisy again. Champion went on eating. "This is all wrong," thought Daisy. "How can I look him in the eye if he won't turn round? Ooh!" At last Champion turned and noticed Daisy. "Mm-hmm," he said, and came towards her, still chewing. He wondered what she was. "Ooh," said Daisy feebly. "Why doesn't he run away?" The guard and the policeman tried to shoo Champion, but he wouldn't stay shooed. As soon as they turned away, he came back. He was a most inquisitive animal. "Go on, Daisy," said her driver. "He's harmless." "Yes," said Daisy unhappily. "You know he's harmless, and I know he's harmless, but does he know? Besides, look at his horns. If I bumped into him, he might hurt, them. The farmer wouldn't like that." Champion came close and sniffed at Daisy. "Oof," she said, backing hastily. Toby was surprised to find Daisy back once more at the station. The passengers told him about the bull. He chuckled. "Bulls always run if you toot and look them in the eye, eh, Daisy?" Daisy said nothing. "Oh, well," Toby went on, "we live and learn. I'd better chase him for you, I suppose." He clanked away. But Champion took no notice of Toby's bell or whistle. He didn't move till Toby whooshed him with steam. Then Toby finally shooed him along the track to where the farmer and his men were waiting. Daisy had an exhausting day. Toby and Percy often met her on their journeys, and though they never mentioned bulls, they gave her pitying looks. It made her so cross. Her last journey ended at the top station. Some boys were on the platform. Suddenly one of them came running, holding a paper bag. "Look!" he shouted. "I've got a quarter of bull's eyes. I think they're super, don't you?" They shared the sweets and sucked happily. "Grrr!" said Daisy. "Keep your old bull's eyes." She scuttled to her shed. Percy's predicament. Toby brought Henrietta to the top station. Percy was grumpily shunting. "Hello, Percy," he said. "I see Daisy's left the milk again." "I'll have to make a special journey with it, I suppose," grumbled Percy. "Anyone would think I'd nothing to do." Toby pondered the problem. "Tell you what," he said at last, "I'll take the milk. You fetch my trucks." Their drivers and the station-master agreed, and both engines set off. They thought it would be a nice change. Percy trundled away to the quarry. He'd never been there before. "It's steep," he thought, "but I can manage. Trucks don't dare to play tricks on me now." He marshalled them in a lordly way. "Hurry along there," he said, and bumped them if they dallied. The trucks were annoyed. "This is Toby's place," they grumbled. "Percy's got no right to poke his funnel up here and push us around." They whispered and passed the word. "Pay Percy out." At last they were all arranged. "Come along," puffed Percy sharply. "No nonsense." "We'll give him nonsense," giggled the trucks, but they followed so quietly that Percy thought they were completely under control. They rumbled along the twisty line till they saw ahead the notice saying, "All trains stop to pin down brakes." "Beep, beep, beep," whistled Percy. "Brakes, guard, please." But before he could check them, the trucks surged forwards. "On! On!" they cried. Percy, taken by surprise, could not stop them, and in a moment they were careering down the hill. "Help! Help!" whistled Percy. The man on duty at the street crossing rushed to warn traffic with his red flag, but was too late to switch Percy to the runaway siding. A slow-moving cockerel lost his tail feathers as Percy thundered across, but Percy couldn't bother with him. He had other things to worry about. Frantically trying to grip the rails, he slid past the engine shed into the yard. "Beep, beep! Look out!" he whistled. His driver and fireman jumped clear. Percy shut his eyes and waited for the end. At the end of the yard there are sheds where workmen shape rough stone brought from the quarry. Then they load it into trucks which are pulled to another siding out of the way. A train of these stood here when Percy came slithering down. The guard had left his van. He was talking to the station master. They heard frantic whistling and a splintering crash. They rushed from the office. The brake van was in smithereens. Percy, still whistling fit to burst, was perched on a couple of trucks, while his own trucks were piled up behind him. The Fat Controller arrived next day. Toby and Daisy had helped to remove most of the wreckage, but Percy still stood on his perch. "We must now try," said the Fat Controller crossly, "to run the branch line with Toby and a diesel. You have put us in an awkward predicament." "I'm sorry, sir." "You can stay there," the Fat Controller went on, "till we are ready. Perhaps it will teach you to be careful with trucks." Percy sighed. The trucks wobbled beneath his wheels. He quite understood about awkward predicaments. The Fat Controller spoke severely to Daisy too. "My engines do not tell lies," he said. "They work hard with no shirking. I send lazy engines away." Daisy was ashamed. "However," he went on, "Toby says you worked hard yesterday after Percy's accident, so you shall have another chance." "Thank you, sir," said Daisy. "I will work hard, sir. Toby says he'll help me." "Excellent. What Toby doesn't know about branch line problems," the Fat Controller chuckled, "such as, bulls, isn't worth knowing. Our Toby's an experienced engine." Thomas came back next day, and Percy was sent to be mended. Annie and Clarabel were delighted to see Thomas again, and he took them for a run at once, because they hadn't been out while he was away. Thomas, Toby, and Daisy are now all friends. Daisy often takes the milk for Thomas, and when Toby is busy, she takes Henrietta. Toby has taught Daisy a great deal. She shooed a cow off the line all by herself the other day. That shows you, doesn't it? Gallant Old Engine. Dear friends, on the second page of Four Little Engines, Rheneas was taken away to be mended. He was away for a long time, but has now come home. All the little engines are together at last. They are delighted. Rheneas is their hero. He had saved the railway. There is a real engine like Rheneas. His name is Dolgoch, and his home is at Tywyn in Wales. Some years ago he saved the Talyllyn Railway. We are proud of our gallant old engine. The author. Special Funnel. Peter Sam's funnel had never been quite the same since his accident with the slate trucks. Now as he puffed up and down the line, the winter wind tugged at it, trying to blow it away. my funnel feels wobbly," he complained. "I wish the thin controller would hurry up with my new one. He says it will be something special." "You and your special funnel," said the other engines, and laughed. They were all fond of Peter Sam, but he talked so much about his special funnel that it had become quite a joke. The winter weather worried Mr. Hugh. Wind broke branches from trees, while rain turned hillside streams into torrents which threatened to wash the line away. Mr. Hugh and the men patrolled the line every day with Rusty. They removed branches and cleared culverts so that the water could flow away. But one morning they found bad trouble. A fresh torrent had broken out, and Mr. Hugh had to stop all trains. "There's been a washout near the tunnel," he said. "The track bed is swept away." The men worked hard and repaired the damage in a week. While they worked, the weather changed. It became frosty and very cold. They finished just in time for market day, and Peter Sam took the morning train very carefully over the mended piece of line. The tunnel was short but curved, so they could not see right through it. Suddenly the driver shouted, "There's something hanging from the roof!" He braked. There was a clanging crash. When Peter Sam and his coaches stopped in the open air, he no longer had his funnel. The guard found the funnel and a thick icicle. "That's what hit you, Peter Sam," he said. They started again, but the passengers grumbled at the smoke, so when the firemen saw an old drain pipe, they stopped and wired it on. The engines laughed and laughed when Peter Sam came home. Sir Handel made up a rhyme. "Peter Sam said again and again, his new funnel will put us to shame. He went into the tunnel and lost his old funnel. Now his famous new funnel's a drain." They teased Peter Sam dreadfully, but his new funnel arrived quite soon. "Oh dear," he said, "someone squashed it." The thin controller laughed. "It's a Geisel, the most up-to-date funnel there is. Listen. When you puff, you draw air through your fire to make it burn brightly. With your old funnel puffing, it's hard work. It uses strength you need for pulling trains. Your new funnel has special pipes that help the air come easily. Puffing will be easier, so you will have more strength for your work." "Yes, sir," said Peter Sam doubtfully. At first, Peter Sam's special funnel was a great joke. Sir Handel and Duncan asked him why he'd sat on it, and then hooted with laughter. But when Peter Sam started work, it was a very different story. Even Sir Handel was impressed. "I can't understand it," he said. "Peter Sam never seems to work hard. He just says, 'Cht, cht, cht, cht,' and simply strolls away with any train he's given. He makes it look so easy." They don't laugh at Peter Sam's funnel now. They wish they had one like it. Steamroller. This story is adapted from an incident in Narrow Gauge Album by Mr. P.B. Whitehouse. We gratefully acknowledge his permission to use it. Sir Handel kept slipping between the rails, so they gave him new wheels with broad tyres. The other engines teased him. "Look at his steamroller wheels," they laughed. "You shut up," Sir Handel snorted. "You're jealous. My wheels are special, like Peter Sam's funnel. Now I'll go faster than any of you." "You'll never." The engines were surprised. Sir Handel's trains were usually late. Skarloey winked. "With your grand new wheels, Sir Handel," he said gravely, "you're just the engine to tackle George." "Who's George?" Sir Handel asked. While Sir Handel was in the shed, waiting for his new wheels, workmen had come to widen the road, which ran for a mile or two beside the railway. They pulled down the wall, and nothing now protected the line. George was their steamroller. He chuffered to and fro, making rude remarks when the engines passed by. "Railways are no good," he'd say. "Pull 'em up, turn 'em into roads." Skarloey had often heard that talk before, and he warned the others to take no notice, but he hoped that when the two boastful engines met, he and the others would have some fun. "Don't worry any more," said Sir Handel importantly, when they told him about George. "Leave him to me. I'll soon send him packing." Next morning George was standing near the halt by the level crossing. "Huh," he said. "You're Sir Handel, I suppose. And you, I suppose, are George. Yes, I've heard of you. And I've heard of you. You swank around with steamroller wheels, pretending you're as good as me." "Actually," said Sir Handel sweetly, "I'm better. Goodbye." He puffed away. George chuffered, fuming. One afternoon, Sir Handel had to bring a special load down after the last train had gone. When he reached the road, he saw George trundling home. "Beep, beep, beep." George took no notice. He trundled along close to the track. There was barely room to pass. "Beep, beep, beep." Sir Handel slowed and crept cautiously alongside. "Get out of my way, you great clumsy road-hog," he hissed. "I don't move for imitation steamrollers," retorted George with spirit. They lumbered along side by side, exchanging insults. No one could ever explain what happened next. George's driver says he signalled for Sir Handel to stop. Sir Handel's driver says he signalled to George. There was a crash. The brake van tilted sideways, and the guard scrambled out to find George's front roller nuzzling his footboard. The two drivers were hotly arguing whose fault it was. A policeman strolled up in time to stop the argument, turning to fisticuffs, and when Sir Handel's firemen came back with Rusty and Mr. Hugh, they all set to work clearing up the mess. Neither engine had been going fast enough to cause much damage, so Sir Handel was able to bring his train on when George had backed himself away. Next day the workmen put a fence between road and railway and then went away, taking George with them. This was because they had finished their work, but Sir Handel thought he had made George go away. He was more conceited than ever, and talked everlastingly about steamrollers. "Oh dear," whispered Skarloey one evening, "he's worse than ever. I'm sorry my plan was no good." "Never mind," said Rusty, "we'll think of something else." But they had no need to do that, for some boys came and asked Mr. Hugh if they could look at the engines. Almost at once one called out, "Look, here's Sir Handel. He raced a steamroller last week. The roller nearly beat him too. It was most exciting." Sir Handel never mentioned steamrollers now. Passengers and polish. Nancy is a guard's daughter. She was working on Skarloey with some polish and a rag. "Wake up, lazybones," she said severely. "Your brass is filthy. Aren't you ashamed?" "No," said Skarloey sleepily. "You're just an old fusspot. Go away." She tickled his nose. "Rheneas comes home tomorrow. Don't you want to look nice?" Skarloey woke suddenly. "What? Tomorrow?" "Yes, Daddy told me. I'm going now." "Nancy, stop! Do I really look nice? Please polish me again. There's a good, kind girl." "Now who's an old fusspot?" laughed Nancy. She gave him another rub and then climbed down. "Aren't you going to polish me?" asked Duncan. Sorry, not today. I'm helping the refreshment lady this afternoon. We must get the ices and things ready for the passengers on Skarloey's 2:00 train." "Never mind, Duncan. I'll give you a good polish tomorrow." But Duncan did mind. "It isn't fair," he complained. "Peter Sam gets a special funnel, Sir Handel gets special wheels, passengers get ices, and I'm never even polished." This, of course, wasn't true, but Duncan liked having a grievance. He began to sulk. That afternoon a message came from the station by the waterfall. "One of Skarloey's coaches has come off the rails. Please send some workmen to put it right." Duncan was in steam, so he had to go. "All this extra work," he grumbled. "It wears an engine out." "Rubbish," said his driver. "Come on." The derailed coach was in the middle of his train, so Skarloey had gone on to the top station with the front coaches. Duncan left the workmen and brought the passengers in the rear coaches home. He sulked all the way. He arrived back just in time for his own 4 o'clock train. "I get no rest, I get no rest," he complained. He was sulky and short of steam, so his driver waited a few minutes in the hope of raising more, but Duncan wouldn't try. "We can't keep the passengers waiting any longer," said his driver at last. "You always think about the passengers," muttered Duncan crossly, "and never about me. I'm never even polished. I'm overworked, and I won't stand it." He grumbled away, brooding over his wrongs. Duncan made heavy weather of the journey, but at last they reached the viaduct. This is long, high, and narrow. No one can walk on it when a train is there. "Come on, Duncan," said his driver. "One more effort, and you'll have a rest and a drink in the station." "Keep your old station," said Duncan rudely. "I'm staying here." He did, too. He stopped his train right on the viaduct, and nothing his driver or fireman could do would make him move another yard. Skarloey came from the top station to haul Duncan and his train to the platform. The passengers were very cross. They burst out of the train and told the drivers, the firemen, and the guard what a bad railway it was. Skarloey had to pull the train to the top station too. Duncan wouldn't even try. The thin controller was waiting at the shed for Duncan that evening. He spoke to him severely, but Duncan still stayed sulky. He muttered to himself, "No polish, no passengers," in an obstinate sort of voice. Gallant old engine. "I'm ashamed of you, Duncan," said Skarloey. "You should think of your passengers." "Passengers are just nuisances. They're always complaining." Skarloey was shocked. "There's no way to talk," he said. "Passengers are our coal and water. No passengers means no trains. No trains means no railway. Then we'd be on the scrap heap, my engine, and don't you forget it. Thank goodness Rheneas is coming home. Perhaps he'll teach you sense before it's too late." "What has Rheneas to do with it?" "Rheneas saved our railway," said Skarloey. "Please tell us about it," begged Peter Sam. "The year before you came," said the old engine, "things were very bad. We were on our last wheels. Mr. Hugh was driver and fireman, while the thin controller was guard. He did everything else too, and helped Mr. Hugh mend us in the shed. We expect 2 fresh engines next year, they told us, but we must keep the trains going now. If we don't, our railway will close." "How awful," said Peter Sam in sympathy. "I tried hard, but I couldn't do much. But Rheneas understood. 'It's my turn now,' he said. 'You've done more than your share of hard work.' He was often short of steam, but he always tried to struggle to a station and rest there. That," said Skarloey earnestly, "is most important with passengers." "Pshaw!" exclaimed Duncan. "Passengers," Skarloey continued, "don't mind stopping at stations. They can get out and walk about. That's what stations are for. But they get very cross if we stop at wrong places, like viaducts. Then they say we're a bad railway and never come back." "I remember Rheneas stopping in a wrong place once," said Skarloey. "He couldn't help it, but he made up for it afterwards. That afternoon he had damp rails and a full train. There were passengers even in Beatrice, the guard's van. His wheels slipped dreadfully on the steep bit after the first station, but they gripped at last. The worst's over, he thought. Now we're away. Come along, he sang to the coaches. "Ooh, I've got cramp," he groaned. He stopped, unable to move on the loneliest part of the line. The thin controller and Mr. Hugh examined him carefully. The passengers watched and waited. Rheneas eyed them anxiously. They looked cross. At last the thin controller stood up. "Your valve gear on one side had jammed," he said. "We've unfastened the rods and tied them up. Now, Rheneas," he went on, "we need to reach the next station. Can you pull us there on one cylinder?" "I'll try, sir, but the next station isn't the right station. Will the passengers be cross?" "Don't worry," smiled the thin controller. "They know we can't reach the top station today." The thin controller sanded the rails. Passengers from Beatrice pushed from behind. Mr. Hugh gently eased out the regulator. The train jerked and began to move. "I'll do it. I'll do it." Everyone cheered, but Rheneas heard nothing. "The thin control is relying on me. If I fail, the railway will close. It mustn't. I'll get there or burst." Everything blurred. He was too tired to move another yard, but he did. And another. And another. And another, till "I've got there at last," he sighed with relief. "It's proud of you I am indeed," said Mr. Hugh. All Rheneas remembered about the journey down was having to go on, going on. At the big station the passengers thanked him. "We expected a long walk," they said, "but you brought us home. We'll come again and bring our friends." "You're a gallant little engine," said the thin controller. "When you're rested, we'll mend you ready for tomorrow." Was Rheneas always ready for tomorrow? "Always," smiled Skarloey. "Whatever happened, Rheneas always pulled his trains." It was Duncan who broke the silence. "Thank you for telling us about Rheneas," he said. "I was wrong. Passengers are important, after all." All the little engines were at the wharf on the day that Rheneas came home. Some of the Fat Controller's engines were there too. Edward pushed Rheneas's truck to the siding, and Skarloey pulled him neatly to his own rails. This was the signal for a chorus of whistles from engines large and small. You never heard such a noise in all your life. The owner, Rheneas, and other important people made speeches. The band played, and everyone was very happy. But Rheneas was happiest of all in his own place that night, next to his friend Skarloey. "This helps a little engine to feel," he said, "that at last he's really come home." Stepney, the Bluebell Engine. Dear readers, Percy is a kind-hearted little engine. He feels sad because many fine steam engines are cut up on the other railway, BR. Percy's ideas, however, though natural for an engine, are a little muddled. British Railways officials are not cruel. They are sad to lose faithful steam friends and glad to help engines to go to places like the Bluebell Railway at Sheffield Park in Sussex, where they can be cared for and useful and safe. The author. Bluebells of England. The bluebells are coming, oh-ho, oh-ho, the bluebells are coming, oh-ho. If you must sing, Percy, grumbled Douglas, can't you sing in tune? Anyway, our song's about Campbells. And mine's about bluebells. Then it's daft. Bluebells are flowers. Flowers can't come, they grow. My song isn't daft. Percy was indignant. It is, then. I ken fine about bluebells. We've a song called the Bluebells of Scotland. But, said Percy triumphantly, the bluebells of England are different. They're engines, and one of them's coming with his controller. Didn't you listen, he went on severely, to the Fat Controller telling us about it? I was away. Oh dear, I couldn't understand it at all. But engines on the other railway aren't safe now. Their controllers are cruel. They don't like engines any more. They put them on cold, damp sidings and then... Percy nearly sobbed. They They cut them up." "You're right there," agreed Douglas. "If I hadn't escaped, I'd have been cut up too. It's all because of yon diesels. They're all devils," he added fiercely. "Fair play, Douglas," reminded Percy. "Some are nice. Look at Rusty and Daisy." "Maybe so," answered Douglas. "I'd never trust one myself, but what I cannot understand is all your blether about bluebells." "The Bluebells are kind people who want to save engines. They've made a place in England called the Bluebell Railway. Engines can escape there and be safe." "Like me winning away here." "Yes," Percy went on, "just like that. If they are old or ill, a fitter makes them well. Then they can have their own special colours, all the coal and water they need, and pull trains too." "That's braw hearing," said Douglas with feeling. "The Fat Controller says Stepney was the first engine to escape there, so he asked him to visit us and bring his controller." "But," objected Douglas, "how about yon diesels? Mightn't they catch him on the way?" "We thought so too," said Percy, "but the Fat Controller says there's no danger of that. Stepney's a match for any diesel. Besides, his controller will take care of him." "He's a brave engine for all that," said Douglas admiringly. "Fancy fighting your way through all those diesels just to see us." "Look!" squeaked Percy. "The station's crowded." "Silly, how can I look unless I'd be a corkscrew?" "Why, they all come. There's no train." But Percy was wrong. The signal dropped, and from far away an engine whistled. A gleam of yellow shone through the bridge girders, and "Here he comes!" yelled Douglas. "Boop, boop! Beep, beep!" The two engines whistled excitedly in welcome. "Beep, beep!" replied Stepney, as with passengers and people waving and cheering, he puffed proudly through the junction on the last stage of his long journey. Stepney's Special. "So I tried very hard, but I couldn't work properly, and they put me on a siding. I stayed there for days and days. Other engines were there too. I was afraid." "I'd have been frightened too," said Edward. "But then some workmen came, they mended me, and even gave me a coat of paint. I couldn't understand it till my driver came. He was very pleased. 'Stepney, you lucky old engine,' he said. 'You've been saved. The Bluebell Railway has bought you.'" "What a lovely surprise," smiled Edward. "Have they saved other engines besides you?" he asked. "Oh, yes," answered Stepney. "You'd like our Bluebell and Primrose, they're twins." He chuckled. "And as like as two peas. They only had numbers at first. Bluebell is 323 and Primrose is 27. They were very pleased when our controller gave them names. Some say he was wrong to do it. It certainly made them cocky, but they do work hard, and I think our controller was right. All engines ought to have names." "Yes," agreed Edward. "It's most important." "That's why," Stepney continued, "we've given names to our 488 and 2650, but our controller doesn't know. It's a secret. Don't tell him, will you?" "Of course not," smiled Edward. "They're both very pleased about it because now they feel part of the family. We call 488 Adams, after his designer, you know. He's a lovely engine, Southwestern from Devon. He can stroll away with any load he's given. Cromford, who's 2650, has been pulling trucks up high peaks in Derbyshire. He's tough, is Cromford. He had to be for that job. Captain Baxter's tough too," Stepney went on, "and rather rude. But he's worked in a quarry. You know what that does to an engine's languages and manners." "I do indeed," said Edward gravely. "He's a good sort, really," said Stepney. "I like him. We both miss our work with trucks." He paused. "I oughtn't to say this," he went on, "after everyone's been so kind, but our line is very short, and I never get any good runs now. I miss them dreadfully." "Never mind," smiled Edward. "Perhaps you'll get some while you're here." Stepney said good-bye to Edward and then returned to the big station. There he helped Duck shunt the yard. They were soon great friends and enjoyed their afternoon together. Thomas arrived before they'd finished and stayed till it was time for his last branch line train. But that train's tail lamps were hardly out of sight when the two engines heard a commotion at the station. "Hello," said Duck. "I wonder what's up." Presently the night-duty shunter came hurrying to the shed. The bell in the cabin on the branch line rang once, then 5, pause, 5. That means shunt to allow following train to pass. The signalman was puzzled. He telephoned control. "A special, is it?" "I see." Thomas and his passengers grumbled at being delayed, but there was no help for it. Soon they heard an unfamiliar puffing. Express headlamps swayed and twinkled. Then Stepney, pulling one coach, loomed in the station lights. He slowed to exchange tablets, whistled a greeting, then gathered speed into the night. "Well, bust my boiler," said Thomas, the tank engine. "Shunted," fumed Thomas next morning. "On my own branch, too. It's a disgrace." "I'm sorry," said Stepney. "I was a special," he explained. "Why?" "An important passenger came after you'd gone. He said he must get home and ordered a special. Duck kindly let me take it. We had a splendid run. No record-breaking, of course, but—" "Ah, well," said Thomas modestly, "perhaps when you know the road as I do—" "Exactly," put in Stepney. "You're such an expert." Thomas, flattered, forgot he was cross and told Stepney all about his branch line. Train stops play. "You are very lucky, engine," said Stepney. "Your branch has got everything. It's long enough to give you a good run, and you have plenty of passengers. Then you've a quarry, a mine, and some factories, so you need plenty of trucks. Trucks are fun," he went on wistfully. "I miss them on our line." Percy looked surprised. "You can take mine and welcome this morning," he said. So they asked permission, and then went off to collect them. Toby and Thomas gaped in wonderment. Stepney took his trucks to the harbour, picked up a load of empties, and started back. On the way they were stopped by a signal near a cricket field, where a match had just started. They settled down to watch. Presently some fielders came towards them and waved. "Could you move, please?" they asked. "Your last few trucks are behind the bowler's arm." "Sorry," smiled the driver. "Will this do?" And he eased Stepney forward till he stood under the signal. The cricketers shouted their thanks, and play started again. The batsman hit out, and soon a skyer towered towards the train. Clunk! Down went the signal. There was another clunk too, as the ball fell on the train, but neither driver nor fireman heard it. They were too busy. "Stop!" yelled the fieldsman, but Stepney's noisy starting drowned their shouts. Come along," he puffed to the trucks, and left the frantic fieldsman behind. "Our one and only ball," they said sadly. 4 of them piled into an ancient car. "Wake up, Caroline," they said. Caroline coughed crossly, reluctantly came to life, and they rolled out onto the road. Stepney wasn't hurrying. He had just crossed the river when Caroline came up behind. "Doot, doot," she wailed. Road and rail ran side by side. The cricketers waved and shouted, but they were too far away for the firemen to recognise them or hear clearly what they said. "If those jokers want a race," remarked the driver, "they can have one." He advanced his regulator, and Stepney drew ahead. Poor Caroline wasn't happy. She rattled along at twice her usual speed. "Master shouldn't treat me like this," she grumbled. "This pace is too hot for my system. It'll fuse all my circuits." "Hurrah!" she exclaimed. "That silly train has gone into a hole, so we can't catch it. Now Master will have to be sensible and go home." But Master didn't go home. Caroline nearly boiled with fury when he made her climb a steep hill and run down to the station on the other side. Caroline arrived just as Stepney had shunted the trucks. His crew were going off duty. The cricketers explained what had happened. The driver and fireman were surprised. "Did you say the 3rd truck from the van?" they asked. They all went and looked. The ball was there, nestling under some straw. "We're very sorry," said the driver. "Never mind, you couldn't help it. Now we must get back quickly." "That's just it," said the driver. "You'll never be quick in Caroline. She looks worn out." "Wait a minute," he went on. "I've got a plan." The driver spoke to the station master and signalman, then they rolled Caroline onto a flat truck and coupled a brake van behind. The cricketers got in, and Stepney pulled the train. They reached the field in no time. Stepney watched from a siding, while driver, fireman and guard sat in the pavilion. There were no more lost balls, and the game was played to an exciting finish. Even Caroline was pleased. She doesn't think trains silly now. "They have their uses," she said. "They can save the wear on a poor car's wheels." Bowled out. The big Diesel surveyed the shed. "Not bad," he said. "I've seen worse. At least you are all clean." The engines gaped. "It's not your fault," he went on, "but you're all out of date. Your controller should scrap you and get engines like me. A fill of oil, a touch on the starter, and I'm off, with no bother, no waiting. They have to fuss around you for hours before you're ready." At last the engines found their voices. An inspector had to come and stop the noise. They held an indignation meeting early next morning round the turntable. "Disgraceful," rumbled Gordon. "Disgusting," said James. "Despicable," spluttered Henry. "To say such things to us," burst out Donald and Douglas. "It's to teach him a lesson we'd be wanting." But no one had any ideas, and at last they all went off to work, except for Duck and Stepney. "Never mind," said Duck. "We'll be sure to think of something." "We'll have to be quick then," warned Stepney. But their chance came sooner than expected. Diesel purred comfortably. He was being warmed up well before time. An inspector watched a fitter making adjustments. The wind tugged at the inspector's hat. The fitter replaced the air intake cover. "OK, mate," he said. Diesel saw his coaches waiting at the platform. He rolled proudly towards them. "Look at me, Duck and Stepney," he purred. "Now I'll show you something." He advanced a few yards. Then suddenly he coughed, faltered, choked, and stopped. The inspector, meanwhile, had seen nothing of this. He was looking for his hat. "Can we help you at all?" asked Duck and Stepney sweetly. Diesel seethed with baffled fury as they pushed him back to the shed. "My hat!" exclaimed the inspector as the cavalcade went by. "Bother your hat," said the Fat Controller crossly. "The train's due out in 10 minutes, and you'll have to take it, Duck." Duck looked doubtful, but when Stepney asked, "Can I help, sir?" he felt better. The Fat Controller was pleased too, and hurried away almost cheerfully to make the arrangements. The engines and their crews made careful plans. "A good start's everything on a job like this," warned Stepney. So, as they backed down, they dropped sand on the rails, rolling it firm with their wheels. Both controllers were there to see them off. "Gordon will take over from halfway," said the Fat Controller, "so get the train there. Never mind about being late. Good luck." "Don't worry, sirs," smiled Stepney. "We'll get there and be early too." They stood waiting, sizzling with excitement, ready and eager to be off. At last the guard's flag waved. The engines dug their heels into the sand and gave a mighty heave. "Come on, come on," puffed Duck, while Stepney barked excitedly in front. Moving carefully over the points, they reached the open line. "Now for a sprint," woofed Stepney. "I'm ready when you are," puffed Duck. Faster and faster they went, till their wheels were turning at such speed that the side rods were merely blurs. Under clear signals they whizzed through Edward Station and charged at Gordon's Hill beyond. They felt the drag of their 15 coaches here. It was hard work, but once over the top, The last 10 miles were plain running, and they swept into the big station in fine style. "Hello," said Gordon. "You're early. That's one in the headlamp for old Diesel. Have you heard the latest?" he chuckled. "Diesel had sucked the inspector's hat into his air pipe. That's why he broke down. James says he's sick as boiler sludge and sulking in the shed. Out of date, are we? Ho, ho, ho." And still laughing, Gordon puffed away. Everyone was sad next day when Stepney had to go. All the engines who could came to see him off. The Fat Controller made a speech, and so did Stepney's controller. Donald and Douglas made everyone sing "Auld Lang Syne," and then Stepney and his controller puffed off to a chorus of cheers and whistles. "Goodbye, Stepney! Come again! Goodbye! Goodbye!" But what about Diesel? He had slipped away the night before. He said goodbye to no one, but left two things behind: the nasty smell of bad manners and a battered bowler hat. Mountain Engines. Dear friends, a rack railway climbs the mountain called Culdee Fell. Lord Harry Bahrain is chairman of the railway company. Lots of people travel on it in the summer. Mr. Walter Richards, the manager, does not have an easy time. There are 7 engines, one of whom, number 5, is still away being mended. Another, number 6, was named Lord Harry. This was a mistake. It made him conceited but you must read the stories for yourselves. I hope you will enjoy this book about a different kind of railway. The author. Mountain Engine. Sir Handel had had a bad day. The old coaches, Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima and Beatrice, had been awkward. They had made him slip to a standstill twice. He was furious. "Those cattle trucks should be scrapped," he fumed. Skarloey was shocked. "I won't have it," he protested. "Those old dears need kindness, not bad names." "Exactly so," agreed Rheneas. He winked at Skarloey. "You'll be thankful, Sir Handel, that we're not a mountain railway." "A mountain railway? What's that?" "A railway which climbs mountains, of course." "But it can't," said Sir Handel. "Its engine's wheels would slip." "But it can," said Rheneas firmly. "We've heard of one quite near here." "It can't." "It can." A noisy argument started just as Donald shunted a flat truck to the siding nearby. On the truck was a queer-looking engine. He had 6 small wheels and a stovepipe chimney. His boiler was tilted downwards, and his cylinders were back to front. "Wheesht," whispered Donald hoarsely. "Dunna wake the wee engine. It's tired he is. He's away back from England after being mended. You ken how it is." "We understand, but who is he?" "He's called Culdee, after the mountain his railway climbs." "Well, did you ever?" exclaimed the 2 old engines. They looked at Sir Handel and chuckled. "I don't believe it," said Sir Handel. "Och, you best ask him yourself. Then maybe you'll learn it's the truth I've been telling you." Donald puffed away, offended. Culdee woke to find the engines gazing at him. "Where am I?" he asked. They told him. "Oh, that's good," he said. "I'm nearly home now." "Do you really climb mountains?" asked Skarloey. "I've done it for years." "You must be clever. We couldn't. Our wheels would slip." "I'm not really clever," laughed Culdee. "I was just drawn like that." "Like what?" "With pinion wheels on my driving axles. They have teeth, you see, which fit into a rack rail. I can't slip, however steep the line is." "That," said Rheneas, "must help you going up. But if your line is so steep, aren't you frightened coming down?" "Why, we have good brakes." "Coaches," went on Rheneas, "are sometimes silly and try to push us downhill. Some engines find it hard to stop them." Sir Handel blushed and looked at his buffers. "Our coaches," answered Culdee, "are never silly like that. They know such tricks are dangerous. I've never had that sort of accident. But," he went on thoughtfully, "I was frightened once. Very frightened indeed." "Please tell us," said all the engines. "One day, long ago, before our line was opened, our drivers made all 5 of us engines stand ready outside our shed. 'The inspector's coming,' they said. 'We don't know which of you he'll choose.' He chose me, climbed into my cab, and made me push 2 coaches to the summit. 'So far, so good,' he said. 'Now we'll test your brakes.' So he went and stood on the steepest part of the line. Down, down it fell, with a nasty curve below, edging a precipice. 'Brakes off, driver, let him roll.' 'Oh,' gasped the little engines in horror. The coaches nudged me. We gathered speed downhill. I was terrified. My driver's hand stole to the brake. 'Hands off,' ordered the inspector. Then I remembered I had automatic brakes. I could put these on myself. Perhaps the inspector wanted to see if I could. They worked beautifully. 'Well done, Culdee,' said the inspector. 'You'll do.' I smiled, of course, but felt very shaky. My driver and fireman mopped their faces. They'd been nervous too. 'I'm never nervous now,' finished Culdee. 'Why should I be? There's no need.' Bad lookout. Rheneas and Skarloey were talking quietly to Culdee next morning when Duncan stormed up, followed by Sir Handel. "Hallo," chuckled Rheneas. "Here we go." "I nearly came off," fumed Duncan. "Those coaches pushed me. The thin controller says they didn't. He says I kept a bad lookout. 'We've no money to mend you,' he said, 'and if it happens again, I'll leave you at the back of the shed. Why does he always pick on me? It's not fair.'" Skarloey said nothing. He just winked at Rheneas. Like this. "As you were saying, Culdee," remarked Rheneas, "you had 2 coaches on your trial trip. Do you ever take more?" "No, our line is so steep that we're only allowed 1. We each have our own. Mine's called Catherine. I know her well. That's most important." "Why?" asked Sir Handel. "They're only coaches." "Ours," said Culdee, "is something more. You pull your coaches and you can see ahead. We push ours up, so we can't see. They watch the line for us. The guard watches too, of course, but Catherine's so clever that I know at once if anything is wrong." "That must take a load off your mind," said Skarloey. Culdee smiled. "But not off me buffers. Climbing's hard work and needs a lot of steam. My fireman and I have a tiring time. Coming down," he went on, "it's different. Catherine and I just roll. We need no steam for that." Sir Handel sighed enviously. "I should like that," he said. "With your automatic brakes, it sounds like a rest cure." "That," replied Culdee, "was just the mistake poor Godred made." "Who," asked the little engines, "is Godred?" "Godred was our number 1, and named after a king," Culdee replied. "Perhaps that went to his smoke-box and made him conceited. He'd never keep a good lookout. He'd roll down the line looking anywhere but at the track. 'You'll have an accident,' I told him. 'Pooh,' he said, 'I've got automatic brakes, haven't I? And driver's got his air brake. What more do you want?' 'More sense from you,' I said. 'No engine can stop at once if it isn't ready to obey his driver's controls.'" "The first thing a young engine learns," agreed Skarloey. "Godred never learned sense. His driver and fireman and the manager all spoke to him. They even took him to pieces to see if anything was wrong, but he still went on in the same old way. One day I was going up and waited at a station for Godred coming down to pass me. As I waited, so it happened. One moment he was on the track, the next his driver and fireman jumped clear as he rolled over. No one was hurt, his coach stayed on the rails, and the guard braked her to a stop. They brought Godred home next day. "We've no money to mend you," said our manager, "so you'll go to the back of the shed." As time went on, poor Godred got smaller and smaller, till nothing was left. What happened?" asked Duncan anxiously. "It's not nice to talk about." "But what happened? Why isn't it nice?" "Our drivers used Godred's parts to mend us," answered Chaldee mournfully. Sir Handel and Duncan were unusually silent long after Chaldee had gone home. Neither Skarloey nor Rheneas ever mentioned that Chaldee had made the story up. Danger points. Donald brought Chaldee up the valley to the exchange siding, where he was soon offloaded by crane. His driver and fireman and the manager were there. They all said goodbye and thank you to Donald. Then they lit Chaldee's fire, and while waiting for the steam, they looked him over carefully. "Very good job," they said at last. Chaldee sizzled happily. "It's lovely to be at home and in steam again," he said. "I'm longing to have a run with Catherine." "Come on, then," said his driver, and they trundled to the shed. Catherine was pleased to see him, and they went for a short run. "I've had to go with Lord Harry lately," she said. "He takes risks and frightens me. When I warn him, he laughs." "Never mind," comforted Chaldee. "It'll be all right now." Later he met two friends, Ernest, number 2, and Wilfrid, number 3. After some happy gossip, Chaldee asked, "Who is Lord Harry?" "He's one of the new engines," they said, "who came while you were away. He's number 6. Alaric and Eric are 7 and 8. They're nice quiet engines, but old Harry's a terror." Next afternoon, Lord Harry rolled by with a reluctant coach on his way to the platform. "Stupid things," he grumbled. "They're all scared of coming with me." "You're too reckless," said Chaldee. "That's why." "Rubbish. I'm up to date, that's all. I can go twice your speed in perfect safety." "All the same, we don't take such risks on mountain railways." "There's no risk. Why, with my superheat—" "Oh," interrupted Chaldee. "It's superheat, is it? I'd have said it was conceit myself." Lord Harry snorted furiously away. "Ooh!" screamed the coach as her wheels ground on the curbs. "Be careful!" "Pooh!" snorted Lord Harry. "I like things to be exciting." Every wise mountain engine knows that you do not take risks, and that points must be taken slowly, for there the rack rail can have no guards. "Steady, boys, steady," warned his driver, but Lord Harry paid no attention. He was thinking what he'd say to Chaldee next time they met. "There's no danger," he boasted, storming up the final slope. "That patched-up old ruin was talking nonsense." The telephone rang in the shed, and Chaldee's crew were joined by the manager. "Lord Harry's off at the summit," he said. "We shall have to go and put things right." So they collected some workmen and the tool van and set out at once. It was getting dark when they arrived. Lord Harry's shape loomed against the sky. He had come off at the points and blocked both roads of the station. Wilfrid was there with his coach, unable to start his journey down. The passengers buzzed round Lord Harry like angry bees. He was feeling harassed. The manager pacified the passengers, while Chaldee buffered up behind to take the strain when the men levered the engine's front wheels onto the rails. "Wilfrid," he called, "who is this wreck?" "Oh, it's Lord Harry, didn't you know?" "It looks like Lord Harry. It's fat as old Harry, but of course it can't be old Harry." Why ever not? You see, old Harry's an up-to-date engine. He can go twice our speed in perfect safety. Tee-hee-hee-hee, tittered the coaches. Lord Harry seethed in silence. They pushed Lord Harry out of the way and took the passengers home. Then Culdee helped him back to the shed. It was that coach, sir, blustered Lord Harry. She never— No, Tails, said the manager sharply. It was your fault, and you know it. You upset our passengers and damaged yourself by taking risks. We cannot have that on a mountain railway. But, sir— That's enough. You will stay in the shed till we have decided what to do with you. He turned and walked sternly away. Devil's Back. As a punishment, they took Lord Harry's name away and put him at the back of the shed. He soon heard Culdee's story about Godred. "Poor," he said, "that couldn't happen to me." But he was anxious all the same. "Please, sir, I'm sorry. I'll try to be different." "The passengers don't trust you," said the manager. "You will take the truck instead." So Number 6 took supplies to Summit Hotel, and he took gangers to work in the morning and brought them home in the evening. He found it dull and grumbled. "It's important work," protested Wilfrid, "and tough too." "Tough? That little lot." "Yes, tough," said Culdee. "Have you ever been across Devil's Back in a gale?" "No," said Number 6 thoughtfully, "but I see what you mean." A mile below Summit, the line runs along a rocky ridge. Always there is wind. Sometimes it is gentle, at others it is fierce and very dangerous. Then all passenger trains stop at Devil's Back station, but whatever the weather, stores trains and rescue trains must get through. A few days later, Number 6 reached Devil's Back at 5:15. He was on his way with the truck to fetch railway staff from Summit. "All clear now," said the station master as the last down train left the loop. "Don't waste time. The wind's rising. We'll have a gale in half an hour." He went inside to set the points, but the telephone rang, and he came out looking worried. "There's trouble," he told the crew. "Come in and discuss it, out of the wind." They filled the truck's big tank with water, and sandbags ballasted the van. The wind whistled round them as they worked. "What is all this?" asked Number 6. "There's been a climbing accident," explained his driver. "Culdee and Catherine are bringing up a doctor and a rescue team, but Catherine's too light to stand this gale, so we'll go up ourselves. The water and the sandbags will steady us. If you can keep going, we have a good chance of getting through. Can you do it?" "I'll have a jolly good try," said Number 6. When Culdee arrived, the doctor and the rescue team changed trains. The manager was there too. "Splendid," he said. Then he saw the preparations. "Now, Number 6, it's up to you." The guard signalled the driver, and they were off. "A real job at last," crowed Number 6 exultantly. "Now I'll show them. Now I'll show them." Leaving the shelter of the station, the full force of the gale struck him like a blow. Culdee and Catherine saw him waver. "Go it! Go it!" they yelled. Number 6 heard them for a moment. The next, he was battling on alone. He didn't feel so brave now. All he wanted was to get out of the vicious, stinging, icy wind which seemed to come at him from all directions. The truck lurched and swayed as the wind tore at it. It whimpered and groaned as though in pain. "She wants to go back," thought Number 6, "and so do I. But we can't. The manager's relying on me to save those climbers. We must go through. We must. We must." Slowly, doggedly, he struggled on, till, in shelter again on the other side, they brought the climbers safely down, and an ambulance whisked them to hospital. Next morning, their leader came to say thank you. "My friend Patrick," he said, "hurt himself helping me, but he's mending now, thanks to you and your brave engine. We'd all be proud if you'd call him Patrick, too." The manager smiled. "Well, number 6, would you like that?" he asked. "Oh, sir, yes, please." Patrick and the others are all good friends. He is still brave, still ready to take risks when needed, but he knows now that it is stupid to take them just for the sake of showing off. Very old engines. Dear friends, 100 years ago, when Skarloey and Rheneas first arrived on their railway, they were young and silly. Skarloey was sulky and bouncy. He and Rheneas quarrelled, but they learned sense, and the owner has just given them a lovely 100th birthday. Talyllyn and Dolgoch at Tywyn are 100 too. How about going to wish them many happy returns? The author. Crosspatch. Skarloey made a face. "Not again, Nancy, please." "Just a tiny polish," she coaxed. "You must look nice for your 100th birthday." "I am nice, you're just a fusspot, and you're a horrid old crosspatch." Nancy polished him vigorously. Skarloey smiled. "Nancy," he said, "I really was a crosspatch once. Shall I tell you?" "Yes, please." "Well, come down. I can't tell it properly while you're fussing up there." "Just 5 minutes, then, no longer." Nancy sat down on a box, and the old engine began. Talyllyn, Dolgoch, Rheneas and I were built together in England. "Who?" asked Nancy. "Are Talyllyn and Dolgoch?" "Talyllyn is my twin. Dolgoch is Rheneas's. Their railway is at Tywyn in Wales, and they're 100 too. They were green and we were red. Talyllyn and I had 4 wheels then and no cab. We thought we were wonderful and talked about how splendid we'd look pulling coaches." "What about trucks?" asked Nancy. Skarloey chuckled. "Oh, we had no use for them," he said. "I was finished first and sent away on a ship. I didn't like that. It wobbled dreadfully. At the port, the big railway kept me waiting. They had no cranes to lift me out. It wasn't the Fat Controller's railway then. He would have managed much better." "What did they do?" asked Nancy. "They used the ship's derricks, and they nearly turned me upside down," said Skarloey indignantly, "and left me hanging while they arranged the truck." "You must have looked funny," gurgled Nancy. "Yes, and I felt it too. I got crosser and crosser. They fastened me to the truck at last, and an engine took me away. His name was Neil. He was ugly but kind, and we were soon friends. 'So you're bound for the wee railway,' he said. 'You must put some order into those trucks. The havers they make, you'd hardly believe.' I didn't like the sound of that, but I was too tired to say anything. Plenty of people were waiting when we got there, but they weren't used to engines, and it was dark before I was on my rails. Then they left me, lonely and unhappy, and wishing Rheneas would come. Trucks were everywhere next morning. Suddenly, with a rattle and a roar, a train of loaded ones came in. I was surprised. 'There's no engine,' I said. A workman laughed. 'They've come down by gravity,' he said. 'The empty ones need pulling up, though. That's why you've come.' 'But can't they go up by whatever it was you said?' 'Gravity only brings things down. We need horses or engines like you to pull them up.' 'What? Have I to pull trucks?' 'Of course.' 'I won't. I want coaches.' He just laughed and walked away. Soon Mr. Mack, the manager, arrived with some men. He showed them my parts from a book. 'We're going to steam you, Skarloey,' he said. 'Can I pull coaches, sir?' 'No, certainly not.' I gave him such a look. They didn't understand engines, so it was easy. My fire wouldn't burn, and I made no steam. I just blew smoke at them. They called me bad names, but I didn't care. Next day they tried again, and the next, and the next. I just gave them my look and wouldn't do a thing. At last the manager said, "Very well, be a crosspatch, but we're not going to look at your sulky face all day. We'll cover you up and leave you till you're a better engine." "They did too," chuckled Skarloey. "They fetched a big tarpaulin and covered me right up. I didn't like that at all." "I think it served you right," said Nancy severely. "Never mind her, Skarloey. Please tell us what happened next." Nancy turned in surprise. A group of people had quietly come up to listen while Skarloey was telling her his story. Bucking Bronco. "I was lonely and miserable," Skarloey continued, "till at last the manager came. 'I hope now you're a better engine.' 'Yes, sir. Please, sir.' 'Because I've asked Mr. Bobby to come and look after you.' Mr. Bobby had helped to build me in England. I liked him, so we soon had steam up. 'Come on, Skarloey,' he said. 'We must help the workmen finish the line before the inspector comes.' I didn't mind pulling trucks with Mr. Bobby. We worked so hard that by the time Reneus arrived, the line was ready. Reneus never got so excited and bouncy as I did. He worked without hurry or fuss. Trucks often played tricks on me to make me cross, but they soon found that teasing Reneus was a mistake. He was shunting one day when I came alongside. I was excited. 'I'm pulling the director's train,' I said, 'and taking the inspector tomorrow. Think of that.' Reneus pondered. 'You mind your bucks and bounces then, Skarloey,' he said at last. 'The directors won't like them.' 'Pooh!' I snorted, and bounced away to fetch the coaches. 'Beep, beep,' I whistled. 'Hallo, girls!' 'Who is it?' Agnes's deep voice echoed from the back of the shed. 'It's an engine,' whispered Beatrice, 'the guard's van. He's come to take us out.' 'Beware of strange engines,' warned Agnes. 'We must be on our guard.' 'Our guard has just come,' giggled Beatrice. Jemima and Ruth, the other coaches, sighed with relief. I pulled them all happily to the station. Agnes, still suspicious, kept muttering, 'Be on your guard, be on your guard,' but I was too excited to listen. It might have been better if I had. I was sizzling with excitement as I ran round and back down on Agnes. 'It's fun, I chortled. 'You may look harmless,' she whispered, 'but we'll watch you, we'll watch you.' She took me quite aback. But even Agnes couldn't complain about our upward journey. We stopped at every station, and the directors got out to admire the arrangements. Everything went well. I forgot about Agnes, and the manager, smiling, joined us on the footplate for the journey home. 'It looks so easy, Mr. Bobby,' he said, as we rolled gently down. 'Can I drive him, please?' We were running nicely. 'First rate,' I hissed happily, gaining speed, and all unknowing I began to bounce. The manager, alarmed, closed my regulator too quickly and too much. Agnes's buffers clashed. 'He's playing tricks! Bump him, girls! Bump him!' They surged against me, urging me on. I bounced and lurched. I couldn't help it. The manager lost his footing, grabbed wildly for a handhold, and disappeared. 'Beep, beep, beep! Brakes, guard, please!' Mr. Bobby seized my controls, stopped the train, and looked back. 2 legs waved wildly from a bush. The manager was unhurt, but very cross. 'I'll not ride that bucking bronco again,' he said. He sat in Beatrice for the rest of the journey. The directors complained they'd been badly shaken. They said it was my fault. 'Reneus will take the inspector tomorrow,' they ordered. 'You will stay out of sight in the shed.' But late that evening the manager came. 'I'm sorry, sir. I did try to be good. "It wasn't your fault, Skarloey. I'm sorry I was cross. We must do what the directors say now, but I'll make it up to you later." The inspector was pleased with Rheneas. "You've done very well," he said kindly, "for a new engine." He told the directors about some improvements which were needed, "But," he went on the whole, your arrangements are good." He came to see me, and the directors told him what they thought had happened. "I think, gentlemen," he said, "that you are mistaken. Skarloey should prove to be a useful engine, but he needs another pair of wheels. Take my advice and have them fitted, then you'll see the difference. Good day." Stick in the mud. "The manager was as good as his word," Skarloey continued. "I came home from the works with 6 wheels and a cab. A cab is the latest thing for engines," he told me. "I hope it'll cheer you up after your disappointment." Rheneas chuckled. It cheered him too much, and those silly coaches made him worse. "Such a handsome engine," they tittered. 6 wheels and a cab. So distinguished, my dears. It's a pleasure to see him. He soon got too big for his wheels." Skarloey smiled ruefully. "I did too," he said. "Go on, Rheneas." "He boasted about his cab till I was tired," said Rheneas. "You should get one like me and be up to date," he would say. "No, thank you. You look like a snail with that house on your back. You don't go much faster either." "Slow am I? Let me tell you." "Who was late 3 times last week?" "Oh, it's no use talking. You're just an old stick in the mud." He called me more names, and we quarrelled. We ended up back to back, not speaking. It went on for days and days. One dark morning, Skarloey had to take the workman's train to the quarry. It had rained for 3 days. "You always pick on me for wet days," he complained. "You," said Mr. Bobby, "have got a cab to keep us dry. Come on." Skarloey slipped and snorted on the damp rails. He began to wonder if cabs were worth it. An hour later, I was warming up when Skarloey's guard came coasting down in an empty truck. He stopped by our shed. "There's a landslide beyond the tunnel," he said. "Skarloey's run into it. He's stuck." "Show a wheel, Rheneas. Look lively." "I'm sorry, Mr. Peter, sir, but that Skarloey's too swanky. He says I'm a stick in the mud. He can jolly well stick in the mud himself. It serves him right." "But," went on my driver, "there's poor Mr. Bobby and the quarryman. Does it serve them right too? The guard says the mud's like treacle." "Oh dear," I said, "that will never do. We must save them before they get sucked in." And off we puffed with 2 trucks and some workmen. Things weren't too bad, after all. The men had partly cleared the line and had levered Skarloey back. He was hissing and grumbling dreadfully, but we didn't listen to him. We cleared the rest of the line, and I pushed Skarloey out of the way before taking the quarrymen to work. Mr. Bobby cleaned and oiled his wheels in motion, so that when I returned with the coaches, I could help him back to the shed. "I'm sorry I was swanky," he said at last. "Thank you for helping me." "Not at all," I said, but I was still cross. Then Skarloey began to laugh. "I'm the stick in the mud after all," he gurgled helplessly. "Not you." I laughed too. I couldn't help it. He looked so funny. We were laughing when the cleaners came. We were still laughing when they left. "Poor engines," they said, tapping their foreheads. But we weren't mad. We'd learned sense, and we've been firm friends ever since. It was nearly dark. The listeners stirred and stretched. "Thank you, Skarloey and Rheneas," they said. "Now you've told us about the old days, we can give you both a splendid birthday next week." Duck and Dukes. "But I keep telling you," said Duck, "there are no dukes. They were fine and stately, but they've all been scrapped." Peter Sam goggled in horror. "That is dreadful," he wailed. "The Thin Controller said, the owner said, the Duke said he was coming to our centenary to open our extension round the lake, and now he's scrapped, and Skarloey's and Rhaenyra's birthday will be spoilt. Oh dear, oh dear." He bustled away with his empty coaches to tell his bad news. "I think," said Skarloey, "the Duck was pulling your wheels." "No, Skarloey, he was quite serious." "He always jokes like that," chuckled Skarloey, but no one agreed, and they argued so loudly that the Thin Controller came to stop their noise. They told him about Duck, but he paid no attention. "I've no time for his nonsense now," he snapped. "There's a change in tomorrow's work. Skarloey, you will meet the Duke at 11 instead of 10:30. And he hurried away. "If there is a Duke," said Duncan, but they were all too tired to argue any more. They spent a gloomy night, but cheered up next morning when the cleaners greeted the birthday engines with an all-metal band. Drivers and firemen joined in. Even the Thin Controller banged a metal plate as loudly as anyone. The engines punctuated the music with their whistles. The owner laughed and held his ears. Presently he looked at his watch. "That's enough," he ordered. So Rusty, Sir Handel, and Duncan went at once to find their coaches. Visitors crowded the big station. They wanted to go to places along the line to watch the celebrations. Peter, Sam, and Rhaenyra had carefully practised their parts. Passengers in Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, and Beatrice all wore clothes of 1865. Rhaenyra had to pull them behind Peter Sam's television train, not too close, not too far away, so that the cameraman could take their pictures. Visitors waved as they went by, and at last they reached the special sidings near the extension, where they settled down to wait. "Listen," said Peter Sam at last. "Here's Skarloey. They're cheering him." "Good," answered Rhaenyra. "Perhaps that will make up for his disappointment over the Duke." Skarloey wasn't disappointed at all. "I've brought the Duke. I've brought the Duke. I've brought the Duke. I've brought the Duke," he puffed, and triumphantly came to a stand between the two trains. A distinguished-looking man stepped out, climbed to Skarloey's footplate, and drove him on the new line round the lake and back again. Then, standing on Skarloey's front buffer beam, he said, "Ladies, gentlemen, and engines, I have pleasure in declaring your lovely lakeside loop line now open." Peter Sam could bear it no longer. "Excuse me, Sir Duke," he burst out. "Are you real?" There was shocked silence. The Duke smiled. "Skarloey said you'd been listening to Duck," he answered. "Duck thinks Dukes were great Western engines, but Dukes are really people. I am happy to assure you, Peter Sam, that I am a real live Duke." "I'll give Duck Dukes," muttered Peter Sam, but he was sternly hushed. The Duke turned to the owner. "I congratulate you, sir, on your remarkable railway. It must be a record indeed to have 2 locomotives in regular service and both 100 years old. Long life, then, and good running to Skarloey and Rhaenyra, your famous old engines." The cheering and clapping died away. "Speech!" someone shouted, and the cry was taken up. "Go on, Rhaenyra," whispered the owner. So rather nervously, the old engine began. "Thank you, your Grace, and everyone, for your kind wishes. You've given us both a lovely 100th birthday, but, your Grace, Skarloey and I aren't the only record engines. We've got twin brothers. Talyllyn and Dolgoch were built at the same time as us, so they are 100 too, and they're still at work. their railways at Tywyn in Wales. Please go and see them, Your Grace, and everybody, and wish them many happy returns from Skarloey and Rheneas, their little old twins. That was the Railway Series, Volume 3 by the Reverend W. Awdry, read by Bruce Alexander. Produced by David Smith at Wardour Studios. Casting by Rebecca Fortain. An audio book from Far Shore, an imprint of HarperCollins. Based on the Railway Series by the Reverend W. Awdry. Copyright 2022, Gullane Thomas Limited. Copyright 2023, Gullane Thomas Limited. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends and Thomas and Friends are trademarks of Gullane Thomas Limited. Production copyright 2023 by HarperCollins Publishers. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening.